Good morning, everybody. What's going on? What's going on? Another day, another dollar. So we did get into the 4 hour like we wanted to see yesterday. No fair value gap though. Volume imbalance, however. So we do have a premium here built in. As we said, we weren't able to create the fair value gap, but the fact that we have that volume balance that remained open, that's going to be a pretty sensitive area. Let's see what we want to do there. Consequent encroachment of the 4 hour once, twice. Bodies respecting, displaced away. 15. What's NQ up to? Okay, no SMT at the lows here. Pretty bullish though. Right, notice we respect that 4 hour. We've traded right up into the 4 hour volume balance. We've cleared a short-term high. So kind of at a little interesting area in price, to be honest. NQ hourly. Oh, yeah. From its hourly fair value gap up to the hour premium. So we are kind of stuck right now, to be honest. Might be a little tricky opening. Let's see. Because I wanted to see this low get cleared. We don't get there, but we do pick up this one. So we pick up this low. We're unable to get below the 4 hours consequent encroachment, which is more bullish. And now we have a huge displacement fair value gap. So maybe we actually want to get the high of that 4 hour. Let's see. Would have been a nice one to trade. Yeah, if you were here earlier. Early morning, the ICT method, pre-market. Maybe one day we try one of those. I've looked at it before, never really engaged, but there was a lot of setups before the opening bell. Maybe on like a high impact news event that I plan to sit out in the morning. We'll do a little early session. 1 minute on NQ, pretty gross to be honest. Liquidity cleared, huge displacement. So I'd actually watch, it seems like this midnight paired with this new week opening gap, to me that just has my attention. That's where my eye gets drawn to. I noticed that the 1 minute fair value gap that was created as we leave it is perfectly aligned with the midnight levels, also aligned with the high of the new week opening gap. That's going to be a pretty key area, I would think. As far as ES relative first presented, midnight is aligned with that as well. I'd actually look for a deeper retracement like into here. Yeah, okay. So we'll have to wait for more price to be honest this morning. A little bit undecided. 7 to 8:30 is nice. Yeah, we can maybe do that. So we said that was the 15, 8:30, large 4 hour. We'll keep that in case we want to come back down. Like for me, let's see, if we're going to go short, we've just cleared that high, huge wick. So maybe if we retest the first presented, reject, we could start aiming for lower prices. 9:30 opening right now. We'll see what we get. So far heading into the opening, very, very ugly. We had high impact news at 8:30, kind of just went up and down. They didn't even clear liquidity any lower, so. I guess I didn't think of that. He'd be tweeting in the morning or what? This guy. Go to sleep, Trump. We'll see what we get. Honestly, I wouldn't mind going, if we can go up first. Oh, because that's actually, look at that. So midpoint of our opening range is almost aligned with this high. So if we can go up first at 930, I'd almost see this as a Judas swing, to be honest. So if we come back up into that higher time frame, we have the 4-hour volume imbalance here, also aligned with opening range gap midpoint. It's also a new day opening gap. So if we can trade up into that, reject, I'd actually favor shorts, just to get back into some of these inefficiencies, like this 1 minute. Previous days, is that low? Maybe previous days low again, if we're going to want to reference that. Still pretty choppy in here, jeez. To be expected though. Large inefficiency, so yeah, let's see. I would actually favor that. We're going to try to get short. So we've just hit the first presented that we were speaking of. We'll see if we want to test the high, maybe hit the 4-hour. If we kind of break down from here, leave maybe the first presented for today. That's all that the high may have wanted to test. So let's see. Made a damn breakfast burrito this morning. Right, but my seasoner opened when I was trying to season it, so now it's way too salty. Big L. Yeah, can't do it. Good morning, my man. So new day opening gap holding here. NQ ran that high actually, so this may be SMT. If we want to see shorter prices, lower prices, right? NQ's actually cleared that high. And now we've created a fair value gap that's going to be aligned with the first presented here. So if we can break that, that'll send into motion lower prices here in ES as well. Okay. Yeah, I think this morning I'd be overall bearish. Just into maybe like the 4-hour. I think we want to go lower here. May get ripped against us. Honestly, in an interesting position. Higher time frame wise. Right, we're respecting the higher time frame 4-hour, and we've displaced away. That'd be pretty bullish. But now we're hitting that bullish premium in the form of the 4-hour. So it's like, which one wants to actually outweigh the other? I'd rather see a retest of the 4-hour fair value gap again, which should get us lower prices. That's kind of what my expectation would be. Let's see if we leave this fair value gap open. If we do, it's aligned with the first presented or new day opening gap. Kind of a large stop. Let's see, we can go, we're going to want to get into the 4-hour. That's not too bad of an entry there. I like setting this up already here. We'll see if that pans out. I'm kind of watching NQ as well. I'd like NQ to invert its fair value gap. So we're no first presented, not much to do. If we were going to try to short, we'd have to really use this up close candle, and it'd be more so of an immediate rebalance. So that's still a possibility. We just won't have any inefficiency, and we'd have to kind of expect that price would just want to hold the opening range gaps low to target that 2-hour as well. If we're going to stay choppy in here. NQ holds its actual fair value gap. So we could still wait. Still no fair value gap or anything like that. We're bouncing off of this first. This is this week's first presented. So on Monday, that's what that fair value gap is there. We'll see if we want to make another pass at that high if we can. And then break maybe from there. We'll get the run lower. Okay, opening range gap does hold. Let's see if we fall through. If we fall through this first presented from Monday, that may be another area to look for shorting opportunity. See what a 2 minute, nothing on a 2, 5. Okay. Oh wait, what was that? We have a volume imbalance. Okay, let's try this. So if that 5 minute's going to be a line, that's a 5-minute inversion. Paired at the low. Yeah, I like that. See if that new, or the opening range gap, low wants to hold price. NQ still stuck inside that fair value gap, so if NQ can fall, that'd be nice. Right, the bullish fair value gap here aligned with first presented, consolidating within it after hitting its midpoint as well. So if NQ falls, inversion may allow ES to actually fall as well. Yeah, never know. So retesting, that's midnight. So midnight and first presented from Monday. Strong discount area. Let's see. We fall through that, especially if we leave some type of inefficiency. That'd be a pretty good area to look to short. So far, just choppy. Like if we were gonna commit to the idea we want to go lower, as we said, you could use almost that volume imbalance with the most recent swing. A little bit higher risk. But with how we're moving in here, we may just get that slow fall lower. Previous day high. I mean, that'd be aggressive. I don't know about that one. If we're bullish, yeah, right? That's a macro perspective. But yeah, that's way up there. It's all about what we do in here. If we invert, we'll go lower. So trying to get lower, especially if we can break outside of that, the opening range. So far, just choppy, bouncing around inside this. SMT at the highs. There's actually a 1 minute volume imbalance right there as well. Okay, let's see. So as we said, we're just holding off that first presented. No fair value gap or anything yet. So still very choppy and ugly price delivery. We'll see if we want to create a fair value gap here at all. Simply retesting up into that opening range a little bit deeper. There's a, remember, first presented up here as well. So we may want to retest that. If we end up displacing bullish, leaving a bullish fair value gap, honestly, I still wouldn't favor that. I'd have to see us get above 4-hour volume imbalance. For me, that's kind of our flip point. So as long as we're below that, I honestly would favor shorts. Or as long as we're below this little area here, the most recent 4-hour volume imbalance we've just created. If we can trade up and through that, then I would be more willing to actually try to start taking longs now. Back up. So we just have to wait for that. See if this first presented gets created. If it does, and then we invert that, that would also be another good area for shorts, especially if we ran out another high and actually returned into midpoint. We haven't gotten to the midpoint of the opening range yet. Price will tend to want to hit that most of the time right in the morning session. So if we can hit that and then get the rejection, that'd be pretty clean for shorts. Why do I use a continuous? Just because I've always used that. Personal preference, to be honest. I don't like changing back and forth between the contracts, and the price levels still get respected the same way. And then especially for like the higher time frames, the continuous is pretty much needed because the higher time frames on the actual contracts can get spotty. SMT means NQ will follow, or ES? SMT means NQ will follow. Or ES. I mean, what SMT would usually mean is that if we're going to use it to get short, as we run a high here, we would not want to see a high in ESB ran, and then we would look for a breakdown, and that would be SMT for a bearish play. Right, if we're expecting bullishness and we see that NQ has ran out the high, and we expect ES to also run out the high, that's 6 sister. So that's when we would expect ES to actually catch up to NQ. But like in this case scenario, right, let's say that we are bearish and we want some type of bearish SMT, you'd want to see pretty much as we run highs in NQ, ES fail to match that. So far though, first presented, so we hold the actual low, displace, first presented bullish above the midpoint. To me, that's kind of bullish, to be honest. Same here. Coming off of the weekly first presented as well. Let's see. All wicks though, that's the only thing that's iffy for me. Right, I'd much rather just try to get an inversion. So this is valid here. We'll sit out of that. But right, to me, I could see that. Short-term lows being cleared. We clear it once, twice. We hold bodies. We've displaced above. And now we have our first presented. So that may want to be an area that holds us bullish to accelerate us into that 4 hour. If that's kind of what our objective would be, the 4 hour fair value gap up there. Choppiness. Maybe even come up into, like if we want to get the high of the opening range potentially. Paying outside a little bit of the 4 hour volume imbalance. If we can accelerate through that, then I wouldn't mind trying to catch a continuation long. Okay, so we'll mark this as our first presented. We didn't get into that, so if we can even trade into that, that'd be interesting. Very choppy in here. I actually don't mind. We may try that first. We want to see lower prices, but if we're going to hold that, can we even get into its midpoint? Just something light, even like an ends model, 1-to-1. Don't need crazy RR. 2 minutes created the fair value up there as well. 5 minute nothing. As I said, hesitation here at the first presented, which is why we're a little... I don't mind that though, actually. So we'll see if we can't get into first. Right, we're going to leave this entry. If we end up running here first, we'll obviously take it off at that point, because then the whole premise is us trying to reach up into that. We fall short of it here as well, so now we have a short-term low. So I don't mind that. Using the first presented. Right, we'll see if we can get there or not. If we run into this 4 hour volume imbalance or higher and then start rejecting, we may have to wait for more confirmation. Midpoint there. Conversely, if we fall right through this, inverting it, I wouldn't mind immediately trying to get short there. So that'd be kind of somewhere where, to me, this will be a pretty important area. If we don't respect it bullish and we fall through it, I'd like the idea of trying to get short again. And at that point, say we get stopped out there, that'll be kind of it for me, right? Per the rules, back-to-back L's. Call it a day. No need to push too crazy. But I don't mind that there. Confirmation, right? Closure above the swing point is nice. We've actually closed above this original liquidity as well, which can suggest continued bullish momentum. Let's see, 5 minute hasn't though. So that's unfortunate. But the 1 and 2 has. Maybe the 5 can still actually. We have about 20 seconds. So let's see what this, if this bullish candle can close above as well. And then we'll see 4 hour high. Like that's that 4 hour inefficiency there. We're actually starting to respect that old liquidity pool. So we probably are going to close above that. And then we may not get that drop down. It tried here. Oh yeah, look, we held that. Right, so now the 5 minute is actually closed above there as well. So 5, 2, 1, all confirmed. 15 as well. But that was kind of all the time frames. So we might actually just hold from there. In this little price leg, no inefficiencies. We do have the first presented. This candle tries to get into it. It can't. It holds the volume balance. Next candle, volume balance holds. So I'm kind of watching to see if that's all price is going to want to give as far as a retracement. I like first presented, however, so we'll keep it there and we'll try that. We're holding pretty well at its midpoint. That's the only thing as well, right? This midpoint. As we said, if we're going to be bearish, we're going to come up into the midpoint and we're actually going to invert that first presented, which is why I don't mind then shorting that if we are stopped out here. Fell just short of that 4-hour volume imbalance, so that I like the idea of trying to get up into that. And the new day opening gaps midpoint here. That's what we'll aim for. Let's see. No, I'd almost rather invert this if I'm being honest. Yeah, I just don't like that. I don't mind actually. I'm gonna wait for confirmation here. Right, we came in with the idea that we want to be bearish. And the fact that we hold this midpoint like that, displacing back underneath first presented, holding first presented. I look at NQ and I say NQ is hit its 4-hour volume imbalance as well. In here. Getting choppy. So I'd rather just go for an inversion play. If we do hold that and run higher, that's fine with me. I don't need to be involved. But I'd like to set up short, so we'll wait. And we could always get confirmation, right? So if we trade into this, and we create, more than often, we're going to create another setup as we leave it, confirming that as a bullish PD array, and then we can confirm that and try to get long there. Yeah, and like if we came up and swept these highs first, I still wouldn't really want to enter on that because we may invert that. So for me, just seems more bearish, right? I'm leaning towards more bearish delivery is what I'm favoring, so I'm fine letting the longs run without me. Because if we can invert that, we'll be leaving we'll be leaving the opening range gap after hitting the midpoint, breaking lower, and that'll be a pretty good framework for lower prices. So we'll just watch this. We'll see what we get here. Good morning, numbers man. NQ is respecting its first presented, so it's hit it twice. Right, first presented here, we come into it once, come into it barely a second time, and now we've ran out that high. So let's see if we want to run out the high here and ES get up into that 4-hour volume imbalance. Just short of it. Higher time frame. Inefficiency here. A lot of buy side. I might even try this, to be honest. This is like a turtle soup. If we were just going to go back into that, interesting. We can get a 1 to... I don't mind that. We'll watch that. Potential turtle soup there. Right, if we're going to kind of slowly head up here, we haven't gotten the first presented. Could hold from the 4-hour volume balance, reject. We're inside of it now. Let's see what we get. I also want to have the midpoint. That's the new day opening gap midpoint here. New day opening gap is pretty much the 4-hour volume imbalance. Same spot. So yeah, let's see what we do here. If we can reject from here, break lower, break underneath, I like that for shorts there. As I said, for me, if we can get above 4-hour, I will flip. And I'll be more keen to look for longs at that point because now we're inverting that higher time frame, especially if this 4-hour closes. So within the next 10 minutes, if we get some type of crazy movement above that, I wouldn't mind trying that then. Changing our idea, trying to get long, just up into some higher premiums. But yeah, 10 minutes until the 4-hour closes, so that'll be good, nice. Or yeah, that'll be a good candle to actually watch close as well. Because right, if we get the wick, 4-hour closes within, back underneath the volume imbalance, while the lower time frames are breaking structure to the downside, that'll set up some good shorts. So we trade up into the 4-hour, we immediately open with a bearish volume imbalance. I want to see if we're going to kind of confirm, right, getting above that, or if this candlestick's going to want to pretty much revert that, stay below the 4-hour, and start working lower now. Very small fair value gap in here, so we're going to watch it. Won't mark it out, but just want to see how price reacts on its first pass. As we said, we held the volume imbalance instead. So as this candlestick here tries to trade lower, it can't, doesn't even get into the first presented. Keeps the volume imbalance open. That's what we were tracing to instead. Get above it, use the high perfectly, and now we've ran the high. So as we said, we actually get back underneath the 4-hour, so this candle negates this candle's action. This candle taps the 4-hour volume imbalance low. So if we do start breaking down, I do like that. What about the relative equal highs at 60.35? We can look at that. So you're looking over here, I'm guessing. Right, this kind of junk from yesterday, that's perfectly fair. That would be equal highs, right? But that's, as I'm saying, that's more so if we get above the 4-hour. Let's drag that out. Because then we'll still have space. Right, so if we were to kind of hold from here, displace through the 4-hour, then I would look for longs up into that, and then potentially a new day opening gap up here. But as long as we're kind of remaining under the 4-hour volume balance, I favor shorts lower. There's that little fair value gap we were speaking of. Right here. So look, as we trade into that, we hold that, we accelerate. So right now we're just respecting discounts. So we're going to watch and see if price continues to reach for highs here. Highs here, 4-hour high I like. And we said displacement above that, then we can start going for longs. Staring up though. Right, that kind of delivery to the top side is a little bit sketchy always, because then it's going to be a very low resistance liquidity run if we're going to come lower. Right, making no attempt, so we leave an unfilled inefficiency. We create a higher low, we create a higher low. If we create these higher lows as we go up, I wouldn't really be a fan of that, because those tend to get swept pretty easily. Say we came back down into volume imbalance, picked up this low, then displaced above the 4-hour, I'd feel a lot more confident in trying to long that. NQ right now, yeah, pretty ugly as well. Crazy wicks, right? Just, it's holding its first presented, so I mean, that could have already gave you a quick in and out. First presented into the high of the opening range, right? That's what we've delivered into perfectly. So I'm also watching to see if NQ wants to leave its opening range high. That'll set into motion higher prices. Opening range high is also where this may be trying to get to. So let's see if we leave that little fair value gap here. We do. So honestly, I would expect that probably will want to hold. That wouldn't be a bad little scalp potentially, actually. Midpoint, can you trust that that most recent low will want to hold? I think we could, to be honest. We might try a little ends model here. Much more of a scalp. If we're going to get above that and we're going to want to see this bullish continuation, I don't mind trying that. Very low risk, 0.25%. But because we have a tight stop, we'll be able to get more contracts. And then we'll actually just aim for the high there. 4-hour high. Yeah, we'll partial there. We'll partial most there. Leave one for up here if we want. We're hitting the 4-hour consequent encroachment now. So this is kind of why I'm thinking, right? This will be a good area for us to either get stopped out quickly and we'll start reversing. Or if we're going to maintain the bullishness, now that we're inside of the 4-hour volume balance, we're going to want to use this low as an area of support. So we're going to actually try to get long on the midpoint of the bullish fair value gap here and just look for one more stab up. If we invert that and we break lower, That'll be fine for us as well, because then we could start eyeing the shorts, right? Well, we're going to watch for first presented here. Watch for the 4 hour as well. Dun, dun, dun. So simply back into that little fair value gap, right? First presented. As we say, in kind of choppy markets, that's allowed. So that's why the stop is right under that swing point there, in case we want to hold that fair value gap again and reject aggressively. If we can invert that, break lower, I'd like to see us actually start breaking below here, and then come all the way down. Okay, so quick stop. Hey, we're fine with that. As we say, we like to be wrong or right, correct, or quickly. So we immediately get stopped. That gives us good information. Now let's see if we can actually break through lows here. As we said, we've hit the midpoint. I want to see price start breaking down through the lows here. Back into the volume imbalance, underneath first presented. We'll hold this. Conversely, as we said, if we do pick up these lows and then we actually displace again above, that to me will be another opportunity to take long instead of trying to get the shorts, because now this will be the manipulation to pick up sell side, the hard rejection back above, just like we're kind of getting here. And as I said, to me, that's just more bullish. So I wouldn't mind even trying the same exact entry with a new swing low in place, just getting in too early. Let's see if 4 hour wants to hold us now. Immediately back into the 4 hour. There's also now the bullish inversion. Right, the bullish we tried to enter gets displaced through as we trade up into that for the first time. That's going to be a potential inversion. So we want to see the reaction here. If we reclaim that bullish after clearing out the short-term lows, as we said, that to me would set up another run higher. And I wouldn't mind actually trying that again. If we can hold the inversion, break lower, through a low, get under first presented, that'll be good for shorts. So for the time being, one of those two. If we're going to short, we're going to wait for first presented to be inverted. For me, if we're going to try to long again, I don't mind trying if we can reclaim that fair value gap now that we've picked up some sell side and held at the discount. Failing to get into first presented again. NQ's hit the first presented. Four hour will close in 2 minutes, so let's let that close. Let's wait 2 minutes here, because then we'll see how the 4 hour candlestick is going to close relative to the 4 hour volume imbalance. First pass, we respect it. That's okay. So we'll see if we make that break lower here, or if we get stuck again, volume balance. So right, another pass at the volume balance. That's what we've been holding. Quick rejection. 1 more minute until 4 hour closes. Yeah, right, this is the choppy delivery here. So not really trending too much. For me, it's probably because we've already delivered into that higher time frame. So we may just stay bouncing. As you say, if CPI is going to be choppy as it was yesterday, that kind of leads us to believe the rest of the week is going to remain choppy. So if they're stacked close to one another, to me, I'm almost expecting consolidation because of that. If we're starting, right, that's another way that we can understand that. It's like if we have multiple PD arrays that are overlapped, that tends to actually cause this, right, gyrating price delivery, because there's too many PD arrays to reference. And that's why we'll often see a lot of back and forth. If I was going to have to kind of rank them, right, I would first go, whatever the actual daily first presented is, I kind of like that as first priority. And then besides that, pretty much if we're kind of trading near it and respecting it, I'm going to focus, right? So like this one is key to me just because we create that down close candle. We create the bullish fair value gap as we leave it. and now we're respecting that, right? Look at the candle bodies. But in my mind, I would think that the actual first percentage from today would hold more weight, and price is going to want to try to get into that. So the 4 hour has just closed, and actually we've wicked into it again. So maybe we flip this and try to go short. That's the thing. I just don't want to put too many entries in choppy market like this. But because we are going lower risk, right, we've cut our risk down pretty much in half. So usually I'm a 0.5% guy. The past week or so, it's been 0.25%, which allows for multiple entries just because we haven't been, right? Price hasn't been as clean. So it's been a lot of give and take. I don't mind trying this one though. So if that actually is going to be the high that we want to create, 1, 2, 3 drives up into the midpoint of the new day opening gap, as we said, inverting and displacing below the last premium. Pair that with the fact that it is a 4 hour volume balance, and I wouldn't actually mind trying this. Let's see where NQ is. It's just so gross. So gross. Da-da. Dun, 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 dun. I'd rather see like a run on the high, but this is an area where we'll just hold and break aggressively. We're gonna try just to get one there. Okay, I don't mind this actually. If I'm gonna commit to the idea that we're short, we'll open up the stop just a bit. I want to see if we continue to reject though. I want to see one more rejection from this, and then we'll put it in, because if we invert that now, we may come back up for highs, so we'll wait for that. Right, waiting for the confirmation really. Cool, and that's why we wait. Waiting for that retest of the midpoint pretty much. NQ a little bit lower as well. So we may get some type of S&T at the highs. Let's see. Quick look at NQ over here. Right, we've displaced lower and actually have a bearish fair value gap. So I'm kind of watching that. It's aligned with the new day opening gap, and we've hit the high of the opening range in NQ. So that may be weaker. I want to see how ES is reacting inside that fair value gap. If we do this and then break below the 4 hour again, to me, that's when I'll try to actually get short. Because if we're going to respect this more than once, excuse me, and actually break down, I wouldn't want to see the actual opening range be traded into. Yeah, I'll check that, brother. Okay, so we do hold that. Let's see what we do now at the 4 hour. Yeah, we're just choppy in here. So it's going to be a pretty ugly opening. Got to be very precise. Four-hour low though may hold now if we want to get that 4 hour high, that volume imbalance. Four-hour volume, yeah, so the 4 hour up here that you're looking at, I'd rather not see that. I'd want the volume imbalance to hold though if we're going to be bearish, right? So that's why I would kind of allow the short here. If it gets through that, then we'd look for the higher prices. It's a lot of if-then statements. Yeah, dollar is running higher, but for the last really month or so, they don't really move in tandem like they used to. All right, as dollar goes higher, indices would fall. But over the last week or so, they kind of just move in sync or not really respecting one another anyways. NQ holds that fair value gap, so that was actually clean. It holds it, attacks a low, and we get below the 4 hour again. So I don't mind actually giving this an opportunity. 4 hour to the 4 hour high. Once again, 0.25% risk just because it's a very choppy, slow, gyrating market. We're just going to use the higher time frame. So kind of like we speak about in times like this, if we're going to try to force an entry, you just have to commit to the higher time frames respecting. So I'm not really paying too much attention now to like the actual candlestick structure. That's why instead I'm just going to use the actual 4 hour volume imbalance low, stop at a clear point above the high to where we can play inside of this a little bit and still break. True invalidation for me would be all the way above. So now that we're in, we'll just wait. Partial at first presented, and then we'll hold for the actual low. This first presented down here. Okay. Let's try that out. And now we wait. As we said, this type of delivery in here, right, where we're just stair stepping, like low, higher low, higher low, higher low. If we keep right now the higher low, trend line liquidity, right, that can get swiped pretty quickly. Conversely, if we traded into this volume imbalance again, yeah, diabolical, right? Yeah, last few weeks have not been easy, man. Last few months, really. As I said before, if you're inexperienced, unexperienced in this would be very difficult. Even good traders are just having to really focus. So give yourself some grace if you're struggling, because when I've been doing this 8 years, and I'll be honest, like this is probably some of the hardest price action we've had in a long time. As far as just the give and take, high resistance liquidity runs, a lot of consolidations, fickle price delivery, and then like after you get taken out, then it runs aggressively, right, without really giving you entries, which then causes people to be upset. So then when the consolidation comes, they keep pushing. Yeah, markets like these are where people give up, they blow out. So it's a matter of just persevering, right, staying alive, managing risk well. Ooh, so after that, I'd expect stop. If we're going to, like, I'm going to allow this high, but I wanted this inversion to hold. So I don't like that we closed above. This candlestick would need to invert this. If not, we're going to run straight into that 4-hour volume imbalance high, and we'll probably just take off. Exactly, right? Just like we said. Huge expansion. Okay. That's fine with me. Oh, and now we're lagging. See, so even in this, what the heck? That's so delayed, holy cow. So that was our first actual trade. I did take that one funded, right? We get stopped. So 0 for 1 this morning. At this point, we're going to wait and see what happens now. Because if we do displace above that 4-hour, as we said, that is going to be bullish. And to me, we'll actually try to start running higher. That's the high of the opening range. So in one swift moment, we get stopped and we actually close. We don't close above yet. Look where we closed, though. We closed right on that. That's not surprising at all. We closed right on the 4-hour. So we go from the 4-hour low into the 4-hour high. If that does stay open, to me, that's going to be bullish. And we'll give a second opportunity. But at this point, if we can actually break lower, I still favor shorts, and we'll try that. Seems like good price action will never come. No, it will. Plus, it's the summer months, right? Summer months are pretty choppy in general. So as we head into the fall, I think things will get a little bit cleaner potentially, which will be nice. But if not, we'll have to just keep working within these ranges, keeping risks small, staying in the game. It's really part of it, right? If you're going to be a trader forever, and that's your plan, you almost have to get used to these type of conditions to know when to just kind of cut risk, sit on your hands, not do as much. But let's try. We'll try another one, as we said. So we get stopped on the first short. If we're going to close above, as we say, leave a fair value gap, I don't mind. If that's exactly what we're going to do, we'll just try to long that. Right? If we're going to maintain that bullishness, we said if we accelerate through the 4-hour, clearing the high, leaving an inefficiency, that is an area in price that we'll try to use. So now we do have the swing highs up here. I don't mind trying that now. Same 0.25%. Second trade of the day here, same entry. So like personally for me now, because this will be the second actual entry, we're already 0 for 1. If I lose this one, per my rules, right, I'm done as far as trading wise. So we'll still follow and whatnot. But that's how I kind of protect myself in just choppiness, right, in tough market conditions, is that you have hard set rules to where if I only have 2 back-to-back losses in the morning session, I wrap it up, right? There's no need to give more. That'll be 0.5%, which is very minuscule. Save it, come back the next day. We might not even get that though. We may just hold the volume imbalance high, to be honest, and run. Yeah, NQ was nice. NQ held its first, presented good. Displaced the way. Broke high again. Actually cleared low as well, so we did have SMT there. And that's what kind of we were looking at too. Wanted to see ES catch up. Instead, it just confirms SMT at the lows, which is why I'm okay trying to long potentially here. As you said, it may hold the actual 4-hour volume imbalance high, so be wary of that. Like this, because we've created that volume imbalance now as we've left, as we said. I like the deeper retracement though. We're hitting the high of the opening range, and Q is just closed above its opening range. So this is where I would want to see pretty much the six sister to where let AES maintain the strength and run for its opening range high as well. Get above that opening range. Good, yeah, 15 worked well. Hey. Orb, not sure what that is. 15-minute orb, order block, maybe. Is what you're trying to reference. Orb, or opening range bell. No, I'm not sure what that means, actually. Order block, okay, yeah. OB. No, you good. I figured that's what you meant. Holding that high. Yeah, we'll see if we get the expansion there. Ah, NQ. Okay. So this would be objective up here, right? From entry. But we may just hold that volume balance. The 4-hour now that we're above it, right? That's that displacement. The first one wicked, second one confirms straight through. The 4-hour inefficiency is going to be here if price is going to try to wick up into that. So we need to be, watch that, yeah. Right, all the way up here. Still playing at that opening range. That's what we're getting stuck at. So we keep trying to leave it. We're respecting this discount, but we can't get outside the opening range. I think if we can, we should start running. Opening range still holding. We've closed perfectly on the high now of the opening range, so bodies are making an attempt to get up there. I'll bring it back again once again so you can see, right, opening range high. So at this point, either we're going to just hold this and keep pushing higher. We may not want to come back into this. This may become a breakaway for us if we're going to target these higher prices aggressively, right? Because if we actually think about it, from this high down to this low, that range has been balanced within the price. So as we create, that's kind of our current range, right? High to low, we reprice into all of the inefficiencies. We move away, rebalancing. So as we accelerate through, that actually becomes balanced, which is why we may see this become the breakaway. That's kind of how we find breakaway gaps. If we get above this and keep pushing for the highs here, right? That's when we would expect to get out. So there's the 4-hour, right? This is the 4-hour inefficiency. What we'll often see is, oh, bro, why is that so long? Jeez. Treat this as a 1 minute. Right, sometimes we see 1 minutes go into fair value gaps and hold the volume imbalance. So if that's the case, we may get a huge rejection here. I want to see if we can actually maintain bullishness push through, leave a new fair value gap here. If that's the case, we'll probably have to use that. And then we'll just get out at right, these relative equal highs up here, what the target will be. So we're probably going to leave this fair value gap. This will be either an inversion or bullish, depending. These highs up here are pretty nice, yeah. I like those. So that can be final target. I am long right now. I did get long on the 4 hour. Just the high of it. Market entry. I was waiting for a retracement here, but right, because that volume imbalance did form. And we'll just get out at the high up there. If we can get that, the swing point. Volume imbalance, okay. So we'll see if we can maintain that fair value gap and push for the high there. That's this high inside the fair value gap. If we invert this, we'll look for the volume imbalance again, potentially. So we would need to hold from here, accelerate, get into the high. Four hour. Closure above 4 hour after holding this fair value gap would be best case scenario, and then we'll just get out right there at the high if we can. Don't want to see that, right? We don't want to start wicking through these highs. We just want to continue with the bullishness. So just commit to the idea that we tap that. Stops at break even. Nice, and we're out there. Okay. Cool. So I'm out there. We'll see if we want to keep pushing now. If we do, that's fine. We just will miss that, right? We don't need to be involved in huge moves. Make back the L's and more base hits. Oh yeah, if we're gonna start being bullish though, we can probably just hop on board, to be honest. If we're gonna do that, let's try to catch a continuation. So we don't want to see the 4 hour be hit. We'll lose the 4 hour. We'll come all the way back up for the weekly if we're gonna maintain crazy bullishness today. So I don't mind throwing another entry in here. As far as the entry, right, so as we said, only trades for me today legitimately here. We try to get short on the 4 hour. We immediately get displaced through. I'm going long on the volume balance. As we create it, respect it, going long, understanding that, as we said, that could be a breakaway gap. And now no other entry for us here. We'll just be content with that. And then we get out here at the swing high as we trade up into the those relative equal highs that we spoke of. So good trade there for us. Right, making back this, tiny loss and more. It's kind of how we work. And now we'll see. We'll leave this in here. Just going to paper trade follow it, see if we can't maintain the bullish momentum now. Don't enter, you'll lose money. If you enter here, you'll lose. Gotta clarify. But I'm looking at that. Potential OB. If it didn't have a wick to the upside, it'd be better, but clear short-term low into a discount, displaced with a small fair value gap. We're just going to use the 4 hour fair value gap itself, so the high. If it wants to come back down. If not, we'll just maintain that extreme bullishness and keep running. It was a nice one. Right. Identifying the breakaway. Understanding we probably wouldn't have to come back into it. You said balanced high to low. The fact that that's the perfect fair value gap there. Which also means that if that is going to be a true breakaway, price is going to have higher objectives. So maybe up here. start finding the untapped inefficiencies from yesterday. Right, if we're gonna keep this huge bullish momentum, what's the 1 hour looking like? Kind of everything gets a little crazy. Okay, so yeah, 1, 2, 3 drives, displacement, breaker paired with the OB or the fair value gap there. Volume imbalance gives way, 15, okay. Nice, so let's see if we just don't want to keep on keeping on. We'll have entry there. And then, as we said, we don't want to see 4 hour volume imbalance be retraded into, and we'll go up into the 15-minute right here. That's a 4 hour. Cool. Yeah, we'll use higher time frame here. Understanding it may be like, if we're going to be real bullish, this wick is what price will get into. That's what we're hitting. Holding the liquidity. I'd like to see a retracement though, and then the continuation. We've tried it once, twice, fallen just a handle short. We'll look for that quick stab. After running into buy side, right, we expect consolidations, so we're not surprised. We're simply trying to capture the continuation, so we'll look for a retracement into a higher time frame discount, see if price can't hold a discount, and then look for another run higher pretty much. Might just go for it. Good morning, my guy. What's up? Okay, so I am watching this now. If we're gonna use old high and use that as the area of support, I do like that we just wick these highs. So as we trade through these highs, we're not able to close above. So that could be a short-term run on stops. All right, quick manipulation. Then maybe come back down to the 4 hour. So I'm really watching to see what we do as we continue to engage with this, especially if we swept this high and then we still can't get under the previous days or the previous area of liquidity. We may not actually come back down into that 4 hour, to be honest. Want to find that fair value gap that's paired with the high. We're going to drag that out. Because if we invert that, right, that's what we wicked into the high. If we end up closing above that, we may not come back down into this entry. So I'm watching this little inefficiency. That's pretty much paired with the liquidity that we have now just taken. And you can see, right, look at that precision there with the candle bodies and the wicks. So we'll see if the wicks, once again, we're attempting. Okay, so we're able to get below. Let's see if we can get outside the actual fair value gap. We'll simply look to enter on, as we said, higher time frame 4 hour here. So we're going to try to use the high of it, even though the 4 hour hasn't closed. We still have so long, but we're going to try to use that on a 1 minute sense, right? So use the 4 hour on a 1 minute support there, paired with that down close candle, right? That had just respected this premium or this discount. We're into it now, so now we'd want to see pretty much that fair value gap get closed above and make an attempt to come up for the 15 up here. Closure within would be a good sign, especially if we can get, like, we'd want this to be a swing low. I often say my best entries are going to be swing lows or swing highs. If price continues to play around there, more than likely we give deeper retracements. So we did close outside of this fair value gap, and we have a bearish volume imbalance. We're going to have to be very wary of that. If that remains open as we hold this bearishly, right, we may run lower. What we would need to see is this candle pretty much negate the volume imbalance, maintain bullish order flow, close either inside or ideally above the fair value gap, leave this as the swing low, and then use the fair value gap as our new area of support since we've hit the 4 hour here. That's kind of what we'd look for. But as always, what is that swing high? That swing high is 5 handles, so that's a pretty clean area, right, where you want to partial at. Pay yourself. Ends model, always using a good ends model. 5 handle move. And then the final would just be the midpoint of the 15 if we can get up there. At this point, if we do run out that high and close above the fair value gap, this fair value gap here should be, right, our new protected kind of discount area. So I would be fine going just right there. Cool. Okay. So easy, as we said, swing lows. If our best trades are always going to be swing lows, so if I catch a swing low, I'm pretty convinced that we're going to go ahead and catch the exit as well. Swing high exit potentially now. Push up and through that. You can almost stack here, to be honest. I might do that and just follow price up. Short-term low cleared, 4 hour held. Let's see if we get closure above a swing point, indicating bullish break in structure, or if that is going to be simply short-term high being cleared. You said at this point we partialed out, stop loss been mitigated below. In reality, you could probably put it here, because like if we swept this low, we'd probably get outside the 4 hour. This should be the protected low. What's the midpoint of this? We never got in the midpoint. That's the only thing. Like if it's very choppy, so we'll just leave it where it is here. That's good enough risk. Small risk, right? 2.5 handle stop, and now we'll just let that run. Potentially an area of stacking. This is where you would be able to stack, to be honest. Let's see. Maybe we show you guys how we would go about doing that, right? So like if we're already in here and we create a new area, a new discount, we could almost try to stack one. So if we do get back into that, I don't mind trying to buy one right there. Oh, okay. Stop loss now will have to actually be that low. Because now with our partial, right, the partial allows us to actually take this entry. Because if we get stopped, that'll be a break-even trade, and then we can actually go ahead now and close another one at this high, at a new 5 handle exit, right? So now we have another 5 handles from this entry pretty much, and we would look to see price bounce from here inside the bullish fair value gap that was created as we left the original inefficiency that was holding us. As we said, if we're going to catch a swing low, more than likely those are our best entries. So if we do hold that swing low, I'm pretty convinced that we should get the 15-minute. If we kind of fall back on ourselves and keep chopping in here, then we may actually need to come back for that low. We'd want to see quick bullish continued price delivery. So from here, right, we want to pretty much just see this fair value gap hold. We do have a bearish volume imbalance, so this is where I'd want to see that be negated, to be honest. We open lower. I'd like to see this candle close bullish, negating the bearish volume imbalance. If it does stay bearish, we're going to have that swing high here, and after forming a swing high, we may see a quick retracement lower. So ideally, we would not want to see swing highs being formed as we are running out these liquidity points, even if it's just a short-term high, especially as that bearish volume imbalance gets put in play there. Let's see. Okay, so it does. We do keep that swing low. It holds the high, so I don't mind that. I don't like that it closed bearish, but we maintain the original high here. I want to see that be a break in structure, right, and maintain bullish delivery. Understanding inefficiencies may still have to be used. Stop loss below. swing point where we enter on. And yeah, 5 handles from this entry will be right here, so we could even just go right there, to be honest. We don't need to get all the way up into that 15. We understand that we could probably get it, but we'll just continue running down equity at obvious levels. It's also 10:30, okay? So this is the highest high of the opening range right now, which also makes me believe if we can run that, we should continue bullish, right? Because now the highest high and lowest low of the opening range, 9:30 to 10:30, has been put into place. What we often see is if one of those sides of the liquidity get engaged and traded above, price will continue to kind of trade in that direction the remainder of the morning. So now that we're testing this high, we don't want to see a wick and rejection. That just like that, right? That's not what we want to see. We want to see closure above. So we still have 30 seconds, but that is just kind of the stuff that you don't want to see in price if you're looking for bullish continuations, right? Because that once again is a short-term high being ran, and that'll lead to like a rejection lower. If we can leave the volume imbalance open, that'd be good. If we wick this high and actually close in the bullish volume imbalance, that to me would be like worst case. We would not want to see that. So let's see if this can remain open. 3 seconds, 2, 1, it closes. Oh, it did stay open. Interesting. Okay, so a little bit saving grace. It does stay open, which will now allow us to use that potentially. As we said, though, that wick, not a fan of that in the slightest. So we don't want to see that if we're expecting price to run, especially because NQ cannot run that high. So because of that, right, this high here, we couldn't run an NQ. In minuscule sense, that may be SMT. We may get stuck. We may start fizzling out. We want to get to 15 at least. What do you find? Pippi Banks? What is that? Pippi Banks? That's new to me. Pippi Banks. Hey, dun, dun, dun. Yep, NQ has run that high. So we're just waiting for ES to try to catch up, right? We want to see the 6 sister because the 4-hour high in ES is this 15-minute fair value gap, which is why I'm trying to aim for that, right? So if I went to the 4-hour and showed you the last 4-hour candlestick, or not the last, but the one that we're trading near, that's a 4-hour candlestick high, which is also the 15 minutes inefficiency and swing point, right? So that's why I like that as our target here, if we can get up into that. But it seems like that's not what we'd want to see at all. So we invert the volume imbalance. We're starting to use it bearish. We do have the original fair value gap. We said we allow that. We don't want to see underneath this 4-hour here now. So this is a 4-hour higher time. Oh wait, no, sorry. Reassess. I don't think that was the 4-hour. No, that's the 15. That's the 5. Yeah, that's the 5. That's the 5. So the 4 hours actually down here. This is a 5. But same idea. We don't want to see that breached. We like that. So let's just see if we can't expand. If we're going to test this high again, we don't want to see a wick. As we said, we want to see price aggressively break. We don't want that. We want that volume bounce to stay open. And we want, yeah, we don't like that at all. We're going to leave it for the 5 handles. All right, we'll reach for 5. Don't need to give it off too early. Yeah, reversal in the range. If we get into the 15, that's what I'm going to wait for as well. So buy up into the 15, look if we can't reject, and then start trying to retrace back lower. Would be best case. So we'll get out here, see if we get a partial. If we get stuck there, that's not going to be good. One handle away from our partial. Just got to commit that that area and price is going to be hit. All right, we don't feel any type of way. If it holds and breaks lower, we'll just go against us. Too bad. Yeah, that's not good at all. So once again, another wick of the high, as NQ cannot wick its high. Not liking that. No, I'm a partial. I'm good though. So once again, we'll try to retest the high. We do leave that volume bounce open. So as we said, we're starting to leave these discounts, but the wicks on the high are not a good sign. Like, you don't want to see that because price will fall aggressively right through lows if it's doing this. As we say, price often is very quicker to clear out sell side than it is to clear out buy side. So if we keep wicking these highs like this, I'd almost expect a quick wick down close candle to clear out lows. At this point, we'll just aim for that high right there by itself. In case we get one more wick, that's 5 handles for us, which will be good. 36 to 41. But if that's a swing high, yeah, and we negate that, we may actually come back down lower. We'll see. At this point, just clear it up. All right, we're just looking at the fair value gaps. Really relying on these two areas in price here. This is a case where, yes, I would classify the 930 fair value gap as the first presented fair value gap for NQ. And you have to go watch ICT's video to understand why, but right, that kind of meets the criteria that we were consolidating heading into the open. We had already cleared liquidity, and then we displaced above a swing point. So that fair value gap, especially because it's anchored with another first presented, is what I would trust. At 939, we formed the next fair value gap, and that also is what you could use. But 930 would be valid to see as right the first presented for today. Nice, okay. So we get there. As we said, stacking. We catch that swing low again. Swing lows often give us the best entries if we're going to be on side. We should trade into the 15, and for us, we're just going to aim at the midpoint. If we want to get above the 15, as we say, because we know how to follow it, we could just keep pretty much just following it up. Right, we'll have the 15 here. If we get above the 15, then we'll look for the next opportunity to just keep following price. Cool. So we're out there again. Nice. We'll see the reaction there at midpoint. Closure above, I like that. So yeah, if we're just going to keep pushing higher, right, we'll just keep using these discounts. I don't mind that. Securing profits along the way, getting back in because we know how to follow order flow. Let's see if we leave a fair value gap there. If that's paired with the 15-minute low, that'll be next. And then we can maybe go for, as we said, weekly. If we're going to want to come all the way back up here to the weekly, potentially. But now that we've hit that, we can go to NQ and kind of show what I'm talking about. Right, so at 930, we were consolidating into the open, and we created this wick up here. 930 runs out that low, all these lows really, and then we give that true kind of displacement leaving behind a fair value gap that is already aligned with a previous first presented. So to me, I would trust that, right, is using it as a first presented for today. And then we displace again, creating a new, so once again, you would trust that holds. But you see, we actually come back down into the actual 930, right? So that's the true first presented of today. Cool, so we do leave that fair value gap. So let's see now if we just continue that bullish momentum. Right, so you'd look for the pretty much the 15-minute low to offer support, whatever the most recent discount is. And then we have a first presented here, 60.48, if we're going to get above the 15. Yeah, we could just keep trying to follow this, to be honest. And then we'll just aim for up here. We haven't closed above the 15-minute, so if we do close above, we'll still leave this because then we could retrace. Yeah, new day opening gap here, which is what we're getting stuck at as well. So we've displaced outside. Right, we're hesitating at premiums and then displacing through them, leaving discounts. That's kind of what we expect in the bullish price delivery. So yeah, we'll look for that. Just keep following it up. Ugh. Net up. I'm gonna go refill the water. BRB. Pipe it up and pipe it up and pipe it up and pipe it up. Pipe it up and hey, pipe it and hey. Okay, I don't mind that. Consolidation inside the 15, maybe run out some lows, hold at the discount, and then trade through. Kind of like we've been seeing, right? Every time we trade into these premiums, we expect hesitation. We look for a run to clear out lows, and then we look for the run higher. Hesitation, we look for the run to clear out lows, we run higher. So for here, I'd like to see, right, hesitation, run out some lows, tap the entry low of the 15, and then run. If we just kind of hold there and run, oh well. On side still following it, but we just won't get the entry. That'll be a breakaway gap. And at this point, we're probably kind of confirmed to go bullish because, as we said, if we're going to, let me hide just so it's easier to see. If we're going to go from 9:30, 10:30, right? So the lowest low between 9:30 and 10:30, so that's the low, and then the high was actually right there. Let's see, 10:30 was here, so the highest high was here. And so this was the range, the morning range low, morning range high. We displace above the high of the morning range, leaving that fair value gap, which is why I'm trying to capture the continuation. Because we said, whatever side gets breached of that opening range from 9:30 to 10:30, price will tend to continue in that direction the rest of the morning. So looking for that, the continuation. We want to see price, yeah. So basically just consolidate, chop, chop, dip into the fair value gap. Right, this one here. Paired with the actual low of the 15. Find support there. And then accelerate up into the first presented. And then potentially, honestly, that weekly fair value gap. All the way up here on a weekly sense. Wait, we do have a volume, so I will partial there for sure, because that volume imbalance is perfectly aligned with an hourly or the 1 hour volume imbalance is aligned with the first presented. So that'll be a good place to partial out for sure. We'll see if we get in though. Hey. Okay. So far, still just waiting to be said, right? Bullish. So we'll just wait for that or expect that to continue. Trading in the 4 hour hesitation, create the bullish fair value gap. We're pretty much doing the same thing over and over, which is why we expect that to continue. And so ever since we left the opening range, we create that fair value gap as we trade into a higher time frame. We consolidate, we dip down into it quickly, we displace away again, we consolidate, we dip down into the inefficiency. Even though it's small, same idea. We dip down into it, we displace away, create a discount, we consolidate, we dip down into the discount, we displace away, we create a discount, we consolidate. So I just want to see that continue. Like dip down into that discount, continue with the bullishness. If this is one that leaves that as a breakaway gap, that's all right. I already had nice runs higher. So we'll just miss that final kind of leg, that push up into that. Yeah, I like that. It should be good. Okay, yeah, not much to do. We're just waiting. Wait. On other news, I got the email yesterday that the channel is now monetized. So appreciate y'all that have been helping out with that. We'll see what we can do with it. YouTube streamer. It's funny, I always wanted to be a streamer. I always just thought it'd be a video game streamer. My whole life. I was that kid that was streaming on his PlayStation. Little did we know we would learn another skill set that was just as valuable, or not more valuable, for other people. Thanks, my guy. OG Mike, my man. Which I guess, to be fair, it was monetized in the past, but we disappeared for about a year. True, Scotty. If you find value, like it. Help out your boy. All right, let's see if we get the as we said, we pretty much want to see. Oh, no way. That'd be dirty if that's all we got right there. That would be a dirty play. We did hit that 15. Oh, we hit it perfect. That's funny. That's fine. If we accelerate, it's 1050 right now, so that may be the 1050 start of the macro, right? 1050, boom. Now we run into maybe there. We'll see. We'll see if it wants to give one more opportunity, or if we just blast off at the old Blastoise. Thank you, Cuban. Yeah, it's cool. Cool little milestone. Not gonna lie, those 7-hour streams helped out. Those like 500 watch hours between the two, or per each one. That's the cheat code. Retesting again. Let's see. We have equal lows, so can we actually get tapped in? Oh, that time we did. That's weird. It was the same exact price. That time we got entered. The other time we didn't. Oh well. So we quite literally low tick that candle. Interesting. Let's see if that ends up being a swing point right there, or if we actually want to come into it a little bit more. Still choppy thing. So macro time, not doing much. We'll wait though, right? Since we're in there. It is interesting though, right? Like it's the same exact price, but for some reason on this one we didn't get entered, but on this one we did. Bearish volume imbalance here, so as we say, we'd like to see that almost negate and be bullish, just to give us a little bit more confirmation and not really leave that bearish volume imbalance open. Oh wait, never mind, I lied. It's bullish, so we want that to remain bullish, which it didn't. Technically it did, I guess. Opens and closes in the same exact area, back to back bullish. So let's see if that one could stay open now. I'm still expecting like a dive into the actual fair value gap, right? So don't be too shaken out if that takes place. Even come down here, I'd allow for that. So this is a new day opening gap. Stops pretty much below that, because if we got below that, at that point, more than likely we'll start venturing down into some of these inefficiencies, right? Or these swing points that we've created on the way up. But I'd like that buy side to continue to pretty much print for now, at least up until, as we said, right? This is going to be the 4-hour swing point, and it's also the first presented from, what day is that? That's going to be Wednesday. Oh, okay, so that's just Wednesdays. Yeah, that'd be a good area. To look to exit. Since we did get in, we would go, I'll just go out there, to be honest. We'll just go full pool. No need to reach for anything too crazy. See what we can get. Okay, so there's the actual fair value. Yep, we'll see what kind of reaction we get here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we're kind of getting choppy here. I do like that we were able to maintain this. As long as we can hold the low, that's cool. As we said, we did get into it for the first time truly here. We'll see if we want to reject now, run higher. Okay, so yeah, we'll just get choppy here, right? We gotta really just commit to that. Because if we're gonna have the same type of delivery, bullishness, this is kind of how bullishness takes place. You get consolidations with manipulations followed by explosive moves higher, right? I mean, follow this here. Consolidation, explosive moves. This was a pretty quick consolidation, but right, same idea, consolidation. Then you get that explosive move that leaves the range. Then you consolidate again at the recent high, then you have the explosive move that leaves the range. So for us, we just want to see that continue, right? Where we consolidate, and then we just leave the range. NQ, kind of in the same spot. I like that as well. NQ didn't even get into its fair value gap, but it's getting helped this new day opening gap. But we can run up higher. Okay. So if we end up breaking down lower, ooh, okay. So what's that? I don't like that too much. We open with another bullish form imbalance. We'll see if we can't kind of negate, get back inside. Closure below for the first time. We're simply kind of closing inside the fair value gap. I don't like that we left the 15. Because in theory, right, look at the 15-minute candles. The first 15-minute holds at midpoint while hitting the high. So if this candle does the same thing and actually closes below this 15-minute, that is going to now create this as a pretty strong premium, to be honest. Hitting its midpoint, closing below, activating it as a area of resistance. If we can remain within, ideally, if we can, what time is it? So we want to see the next 2 minutes get actually above the midpoint. Like if we maintain underneath and continue to get stuck here, I think we'll actually start falling out of bed and coming back into some of these down here. Yeah. Okay. So we don't like that too much. NQ, I'm guessing, is also at its, right, it was at an opening, yeah, new day opening gap. So it's inside its fair value gap. Let's see if that can hold. As we said, for us, new day opening gap is kind of what we would want to be as our last line of defense. Stops underneath that. So as we dig back down into that, paired with the original consolidation here, this last down close candle that's created before the run higher, we need to see price respect that. If not, we'll fall through, get stopped, and then from there, we'll adjust and see what we want to do. We'll probably just be done for the day. So we had a nice little longs up. It's about to be 11, so that's kind of my cutoff anyways. We're in the trade prior to 11, so we can let this play out. But don't really like to enter anything after 11 o'clock. 15-minute will close at 11 as well, right? So that's going to give us that confirmation that this probably is going to close below, which is now going to activate this as a pretty strong area of resistance. We've traded into the midpoint, repriced, leave it, rebalanced. If we trade up into it again, we have to be careful there. Right, so watch this. The very next attempt it makes, to me, it's probably going to reject that. If anything, it's not even going to try to actually get back up into there. So that's good. We need to see it get above that. If it can't get above it and rejects from here, we're not looking too hot. Not looking too hot. Let's see what we get with the closure there. NQ held its fair value gap. But once again, this new day opening gap here is a little bit stronger than the 1 minute in my opinion. So we need to get above that. To be honest, if we get above these highs here, and if we can reclaim, let's see, did we reclaim that? If we can reclaim this, I'm probably just going to move right underneath. Yeah, we can cut risk even a little bit. Because at this point, if we come back down for that low, we'll probably come back down for this new day opening gap anyway. So yeah, so we would need to see the volume imbalance remain open. We would want to leave the volume imbalance open, leave this, right? Or if we're going to tap that, hold that as a area of support. And if anything, actually leave a bullish fair value gap here as well. So if we can leave a bullish fair value gap there, leave the bullish volume imbalance open, reclaim the low of the 15, that should set into motion a potential run higher now that we've traded lower, as we say. A little bit deeper, but we were simply reaching into the original consolidation. New day opening gaps and midpoint held nicely, so if that fair value gap remains open, that would be a new area, a new discount that should hold. Paired with the volume imbalance. We cannot get above these little candlesticks though. Beautiful. There's the expansion. Okay, so as we said, we'd want to see the quick expansion straight into beautiful. So honestly, with that, that's not 5 though. I want 5. Oh, that was 5 exactly. We may miss that. We'll see if we can't push. We'll just go full pull. I like the idea of getting that full pull here on this last one, right? That's our first presented. At this point, stop loss can be here. If we come back for that, no need to be involved. To be honest, we're gonna go like that. So now we have no risk, free trade. And we let it run. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. So pretty. So pretty, so pretty. Let's see if we get the swing high, and then we'll call it a morning there. We'll be done. We might blast up into the weekly. Like at this point, if we run all the way into previous day high, like I could really care less, right? You don't want to torture yourself like that. Like there's no need. The what ifs. Not a fan of the what ifs in trading. Same idea though. If we do it again, like right, we're just following this all the way up. If it leaves a fair value gap, we would expect the same exact thing. To be honest, I already expect it. Like we'll probably come back down into this original consolidation, into the 15, and go up. This is really, hold up, let's clear everything. I'm trying to see, let's go like this. Let's go like, there's so much, let's hide the indicators. I just want to see actual price, because this is probably just a buy model that would take in place here. Original consolidation, displacement. We hold the fair value gap, we displace. Yeah, this is going to be a buy model, to be honest. All the way back up here for this high. Premiums that we use on the way down, right? So the premium we use on the way down, that gets used on the way up. Premium that we use on the way down, that gets used on the way up. Premium that we use on the way down, yeah, that's a classic buy model. Okay. Yeah. All right, so with buy models, classic here. The original consolidations, as we break away, whatever premium that we're going to use that holds price to send it lower on the buy side of the curve, that's going to be the same exact area in price, right? That creates consolidations and then support all the way down, right? So the last one really was here, that last premium. We hold it. As we get above that, that's the flip point, and from there, right, those all become now the areas of support. I mean, look at that. Beautiful, really. That one's paired with the first presented too. Oh my, yeah, so that's nice. Right, we invert it, we use it. We trade up into the next premium here. A few times, that's why we're getting stuck. But as soon as we get above it, what happens? Boom, we use it. We trade into the next one. Consolidation, we get above it. What happens next? Boom, we use it. Yeah, that's nice. Cool. All right. Let's see what we got before we leave. How can I risk down for risk-free trades? Can you explain the concept? Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's being able to just read order flow, right? That'll come with, I guess, progression as you get better with understanding price delivery. But like for us, let me bring back up the executions. Oh wait. So like as we enter, I guess we'll just use this one as the most recent one. As we enter here, we're using this bullish fair value gap as our entry mechanic, okay? So when we first go in here, we have to allow for the stop loss to eat outside the lines a little bit, and that's why we had this first presented like this. But we understand that once we deliver lower into the fair value gap, notice, I'm gonna move the indicator. We've delivered into the low of this fair value gap perfectly. Yeah, wicks go outside, but bodies tell the story. So as we reprice into it fully, it becomes repriced. As we close above it the first time on this candle, this fair value gap has now become rebalanced, which means if we were in bullish order flow, the low and the midpoint of this fair value gap, now that has become rebalanced, really should not be even traded into, which is why we can immediately go stop here. And then as we see, right, we expected the high of that to be the sensitive area. So when this candlestick opens not only with the bullish volume imbalance, but respects the high of that now balanced fair value gap and displaces through the highs, that to me is now, right, the breakaway from this range, and we have no intention to return to where we entered. And that's why I can go break even before the actual target is met. Because if we were to retrace onto that, more than likely we'll just keep consolidating. Right, and that's kind of how we were doing it the same way here and here. So this one was a 4-hour entry, but same idea, right? If we were to look at this, we're entering on a small 1 minute fair value gap here. So as we reprice into it and close above in the same candle, that becomes rebalanced. We displace through highs. So now that stop loss can be moved to where we entered on, right? Because originally it was like this. Here, stop loss was below this fair value gap, once again allowing a little deeper retracement. But once we understand that becomes balanced, boom, you can immediately go break even. Same idea now with this one. Because we are bullish and we have left the higher time frame 15 minute, right? It's the same thing. As we enter here, stop loss below the low. As we trade into its midpoint, close above, it's balanced. We shouldn't come back into it. Stop loss gets moved. And that really was taking place the whole way. And now we catch the swing high of that move. Inside of a very random area in price. I wonder why it stopped there. Now you good, dog. No problem, Scotty. Like I say, glad you enjoy it. I feel like this is the best way to learn. Personally, I guess I'm biased, of course, because it's me, but I think if you're trying to learn price action and just how to read price delivery, this is the best way to do it. Right? If you're trying, I guess, to just find the best trades, I'm sure there's other people that show more trades or just trade, but I think the explanations are more important at the end of the day. Right? Teach a man to fish, not give a man a fish. That's kind of my thing. Like, we could call out entries all day, but are you really learning why we're taking those entries? Right? In my mind, I'd rather teach you why I'm taking the entries and how to look for your own entries than just force feed you entries and whatnot. Easy day, right? Once you figure out it's going to be buy days, these days are great. Because as you said, you just buy. For me, I bought, that was another trade I took legit with our trade of 8. Okay, so the only trades I took today, the original shorts, trying to pretty much just use the 4-hour to get lower back in the first percentage. Once we displaced above that, as we said, we had clear-cut rules. If we're going to displace above that original 4-hour, which is also this new day opening gap, if we displace above that, we're going to run bullish. Right? That was our very clear flip point. So as soon as we did that and left a volume imbalance, I had no hesitation to enter. Right, I'm seeing that. Yeah, we're respecting that. So as we open here, I just go long inside that volume imbalance. First exit, midpoint of the original 15-minute here. We saw that, right? We didn't add a position here. We're just confirming that we want to remain bullish. So as we displace again, once again, right inside the fair value gap, stop was under here. We trade lower, we displace, and we catch the swing high exit. So yeah, overall good day, right? We like these type of days. Once you can identify the trend, it is really easy. And finally, we have an actual pretty low resistance, high probability run. And we're able to capture that. So that feels nice. Because for the past few days, past few weeks, we haven't really had clean movements like this. So it's just nice when it occurs. A little treat for the day. Can you show the 4? Oh yeah, I'll show the, I forgot, I kind of deleted all of that, right? But this right here. So that was our original flip point. We said as long as we remain below this, We're going to look for shorts. As soon as we get above that, our idea flips for longs. Right, so early on, as we said, looking for shorts. Let me just actually use the real chart, because those are the more clean entries, because these were just paper, right? So I wasn't as precise with it. But same idea. So originally I'm going in on the 4 hour. Let me hide the indicators. Boom. So this is the 4 hour volume imbalance right here. So originally the first entry for me was just trying to short that, right? Because we had created a bullish fair value gap, and then we displaced below that bullish and bearish. So that's a balanced price, right? Or a balanced price range. So I was just simply trying to enter on the BPR to try to catch a run into our first presented here. That idea is immediately invalidated. And as we said, if we're going to close above the 4 hour, from there, right, that's the flip point. So as I see price close on it for the first time, we open a bullish volume imbalance. That also retraces into, right now, the inversion and holds it. That's why I kind of entered now on that volume imbalance, because I see the next candle hold it. I see the next candle hold it. So to me, right, that's price saying we don't want to go any lower. As we said, this is already balanced, so that's why I go long there. And as we mentioned, right, once we're above the 4 hour, we're free to now run. So from there, just bullishness, right? You can really buy any discount. So you could have bought here, could have bought here, could have bought here where we did. We only bought this one and this one. We kind of missed this middle move, but that's okay. Don't need to be involved in every run. Right, so we catch the run up into it. We do miss that little run here, but then we understand we're still bullish, so we catch the actual run up into the first presented up here. And now we're starting to consolidate once again. So we'll see at this point, we're pretty extended. What's over here? Previous day, Tuesday's high. So we've just hit wow, that's what we hit actually perfectly. Look at that, Tuesday's high. Bang. Once again, random price areas. Perfect delivery into that. So at this point, like I said, we'll be done for the day. That's plenty for us. We don't need to push for anything more. What time is it? 11, yeah. I'm gonna wrap it up here actually. It'll be a little bit shortish room today. No need to continue to just yap away. But yeah, like that was our areas for entry. That was the reason we were doing that. We'll be back tomorrow at, let me double check real quick, high impact news. Oh, we have Michigan. Okay, so tomorrow we have high impact news at 10 o'clock. So we'll be here about 9:45 Eastern. Just before that 10 o'clock high impact news. So yeah, plan for that. We'll meet up tomorrow morning at 9:45 Eastern, and we'll see what we get to close the week. Might be another long ass stream. I think Friday and Mondays we're gonna do long streams. We'll see though. We'll see. Sorry, now I'm getting distracted. I'm like, this probably holds bullish again. Like, and if we're in a bullish profile, right, any discount's gonna hold us. We also said that's the original 15 minute, so that's the higher time frame key area and price, because that's the true inversion now. That's why I'd be buying. Actually, this 15 minute did not close, so that's pretty interesting. If this 15 minute closes below, we may start, that may be the high, and we'll catch the high of that morning, which would be sick. Because that is pretty actually bearish. Let's wait and see how this 15 minute closes. Right, we've retraced into it. If we close above, we should just continue to pump. That's what my expectation would be, right? Because we've retraced into the 15 minutes consequent encroachment, holding the 1 minute aligned with it. That's where price will hold bullish. If the 1 minute candlestick closes above, we'll now have an OB here. And if you guys missed any entries, I wouldn't mind trying to take another long right there. I won't, because we're already good, but right, that would be a good key area. Let's see though, depends on how we close. Da, 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 da. And we close above it. Okay, so yeah, right, closure above for the first time, 15 minute true closure above. Now it's an inversion. So to me, that'll set the stage for continued bullish delivery. And I would expect that this would be a fair value gap that should hold. If you want to be safe, stop loss goes under new day opening gap, and you could almost aim for like daily swing points here. These relative equal highs are too clean from yesterday. It's a nice 1 to 2. So watch that. Right, as I said, we're done, but just in case, that's a good tape reading session there. So yeah, we'll leave y'all with that. as we said, we'll be back tomorrow, 9:45 Eastern. Appreciate y'all that were here this morning. And yeah, take care. We'll speak again tomorrow.